To do the webinar today with me is my colleague, Cyprian Okolo. He's our technical sales advisor for Western Africa, based in Lagos, Nigeria. And of course, myself, David Mwangi, I'm the technical sales advisor for the Eastern African region. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. Today, we are going to have a very brief agenda, very well defined, of course, for the Solarcreator. We are going to do a quick introduction into the Solarcreator and look at what it is. And then after that, we go briefly over the Solarcreator features. And then my colleague Cyprian will be conducting a live demo for the Solarcreator. And then, of course, at the very end, we give you further information on various products and solutions from Fronius. So let's get into it and look at what this Solarcreator is all about. So for most of you, I think you are already familiar with the Fronius Solar Configurator. So this is the predecessor to the Creator, the Solarcreator. And just like the Solar Configurator, the Solarcreator is a configuration tool. So this is a free configuration tool, which is quite user-friendly. Of course, it's totally based online and can be used for the full comprehensive design and simulation of photovoltaic systems in combination with loads, battery systems, and of course, EV systems or EV chargers in case these are applicable for your markets or regions. So as you know, in the past, the Solar Configurator has been quite a simplified tool that allowed you to some extent only to design the string configuration as far as the connection of PV arrays to the inverter is concerned. But the Solarcreator will go a lot deeper into your design process of the PV system. And as you're going to see, this is very well defined from section to section. So let's have an overview of the features that are integrated into the Solarcreator. So there are quite a number of features, of course, that will help you greatly to design your systems, the PV systems. And one of these key features is a determination of the location where the system is going to be installed. So when you're designing the system in the Solarcreator, you have to define a certain location. And this is important because this location determines the irradiation data that is going to be, utilized by your PV modules for production. In addition to this, it's possible to connect to Google Maps, and this means also that you can access a lot of weather data through a lot of databases in Google as well. Also, the location can also be searched by entering an address or setting a marker within the Google Maps, as we can see in this screenshot. But of course, later on, my colleague is going to be showing you exactly how this is done in the Solarcreator. So number two, we are going to also look at the modules. And no, sorry, we go into the consumption. And the Solarcreator is going to offer you also the possibility to do a lot of load profiling as well as visualization on a weekly and an annual basis. And this therefore means that you can determine your patterns of energy consumption with the help of predefined load profiles. And then, of course, this can be adapted based on the location of the system as defined in the previous slide. And therefore, the location as well as the irradiation data are going also to have quite an impact when the Solarcreator is trying to simulate the system that you're working on. The next section of the Solarcreator will be the section where the modules are defined. Of course, just like the predecessor, the Solar Configurator, the Solarcreator also uses a lot of extensive and up-to-date module databases. And so therefore, all the popular modules that are used everywhere in the world are already integrated in the Solarcreator. And if a certain module that you want to use is missing in the Solarcreator, then this can also be easily integrated by defining or setting a request for integration of the PV specs that you want to simulate around. Then, of course, the other feature is the inverter as well as the design of the inverter area. So the Solarcreator is going to give you automatic inverter suggestions. So this was not possible with the Solar Configurator. So this, of course, will make it very easy for you to have an optimal system design result. And also because of this automatic suggestion of inverters, this will give you a lot of flexibility also in terms of when you want to play around to see if a certain inverter would fit more in terms of the kind of modules that you're going to use over or compared to another inverter. So as you're going to see much later in the live demo, there is quite a bit of playing around that you can do within the Solarcreator to be able to see exactly which inverter fits the best for your particular project. In addition to that, we also have the components area in the Solarcreator. And this component area is going to allow you to select all the components that can be used for that particular sector. And this can be done in this one application. And also, it's going to show up as a components list that is going to make it very easy for you when you're doing the actual configuration of these components that you want to use. And therefore, in terms of optimizing the system, when you have defined the components that you want to use within the Solarcreator, you're going to find it quite enjoyable that the Solarcreator gives you the advantage to bring on board already the components that you want to select for your particular design. Another aspect that we can also address as far as the features of the Solarcreator are concerned are the economics around your system, as well as the efficiencies of the system that you're designing. So the Solarcreator is going to give you a lot of detailed consumption and load profile analysis. And this would include also information on power purchase costs, feed-in tariffs, as well as system costs. And therefore, this brings about the economic analysis of your system. In addition to that, within the Solarcreator, as opposed to the possibilities that were there with the Solar Configurator, which was quite basic, you're going to have an overview on the amortization of the PV system that you're working on. So you can already project, because of the production data that you can get within the Solarcreator, you can already project what will be the amortization period for your particular design. Also, the Solarcreator is going to offer you a lots of possibilities as far as reports are concerned. So it will give you automatic reports with the most important energy or economic key figures. Then you're going to have the possibility to visualize all the energy flows within the system. So once you have completed the design with the Solarcreator and you have now requested for a report for that particular system, you're going to be able to see graphics, as you can see within this screenshot, of the various energy flows that are going to be there from the various components within the setup. So yield simulation over the entire year can also be done and generated as a report within the Solarcreator. So in a nutshell, therefore, to sum it up, before I hand over to my colleague to take over the next session where we are going to do the live demo, we can basically say that the benefits of the Solarcreator, of course, this will be 100% free of charge to use. And it is going to have a wide range of functions that can be utilized. So also, as we have mentioned, the Solarcreator is going to be connected to the weather database to be able to determine exact irradiation data and be able to forecast the yields for your particular design. You're going to have automatic suggestions of various Fronius components that can be used within the Solarcreator for optimizing your designs. Then, of course, the detailed reports showing all the important information at a glance, and then you're going to be able to export these reports. I think Cyprian is going to handle this as well to show you how you can export or share these reports with your colleagues or the customers that you are designing the system for. And this was also not possible with the Solar configurator. In addition to that, you are going to require only one account for an infinite number of projects that you're going to be working on or designing. As you know, with the previous or the predecessor, the Solar configurator, it was not possible even to save a simulation within the configurator other than just exporting or creating a report for your design. But with the Solarcreator, you're going to be able to actually save all the projects or the designs that you have worked on. And therefore, you can go back to the Solarcreator and actually edit a particular design that you want to sort of optimize, or based on the conversations that you had with your customers, be able to actually add or remove a few components depending on the exact requirements. So therefore, you can see that out of this, the Solarcreator is actually going to be more than just a planning tool, and it's going to give you a wide range of functions that are going to go beyond planning of basic PV systems. Yeah, so I think at this point, let me hand over to my colleague, Cyprian, who is going to explain in details how you go about simulating a particular system with the Solar Creator. So Cyprian, if you can take over from here.
Yes, indeed. David, well done. Thanks for your presentation. I will be continuing from this point as soon as I hand over the presentation rights. So we will be going through a live demonstration of the Solar Creator. Good. So I believe you all can see my screen now. So I will be continuing. And how best to do this than to dive straight into how to, of course, use the Solar Creator. So we will basically just go to our browser, and then we could have just typed search for the Solar Creator, but I want to show you step-by-step process. So let's just go through our homepage. That is the Fronius homepage, which is www.fronius.com. Of course, if you know that we have 3 business units, which is welding, charging, and solar energy. So you click on solar energy. Once you click on that, please click on installers and partners. And then once you click on installers and partners, you can now go to products and solutions. Good. So under products and solutions, you have a wide range of different solutions that we offer, be it residential energy solutions, commercial energy solutions, monitoring and digital solutions, off-grid and backup solutions, and then other features. So for today, and for the topic we're treating today, it's the Solar Creator, which is here. Then we can just simply click on it. Going under, you can also see other tools that digital and monitoring tools that we have for your disposal or at your disposal. So let's now click on the Solar Creator. Of course, it now brings us to the homepage for Solar Creator, and then through this link or through this hyperlink, we can now be taken to the tool itself. So it's that easy and straightforward. And then, like my colleague said, it's actually free. So if you have an account, you can just simply log in. Even if you don't, you can continue as a guest. So clicking on this, it's just going to take you to a fresh page where you can just basically start a new project and then continue. If you have an account, you can just log in. So I do have an account, so I'm just logging in, and I did so just to give you an example of what the possibilities are. So here is a project, a previous project I started, and as you can see, just like my colleague David said, it's actually saved and then can be edited. So here you can actually edit, duplicate, add a note, share this report with a colleague. For status here, you know, you're actually designing this for a client. So if the client accepts your design, you can just click on accepted. If he feels that well, he needs more components in the system, you could just click on rejected and then work on it, and then until it's accepted. So this is just an extra feature just to keep you updated with the status of the project. You can, of course, export this project as a PVSC file, and then, of course, you can send it to any of your colleagues who can now import it from this import channel. And then, of course, yeah, that's basically it. Just wanted to show you what is possible with this project. So this is an already existing project. So for the benefit of our attendees, we're going to start a new project so we can go step by step on how to actually use and implement the Solarcreator. So we shall start a new project, and we can just simply click on Start New Project. It is mandatory to actually have a name here, the project name. So I will simply type SSA webinar. So SSA standing for Sub-Sahara Africa webinar. And then, of course, although it's optional, but then I believe it's necessary to include other information, as in the customer information. So in this case, I might just automatically fill in mine, and for the purpose of this example, and continue. So here, let's take, as you can see, you can actually design a residential system, commercial system with or without battery. So let's pick residential with battery. So we're going to design a residential system with battery backup. So we'll click on next. So here we're going to have rudimentary settings that we're supposed to make in terms of currency. So for neutrality, let's go with the euro, and then units is in metric. I prefer metric. Of course, you can decide to choose imperial if you feel comfortable with it. Temperature, I'll pick Celsius. Of course, you can pick Fahrenheit if you're comfortable with it, and then continue with start. Then if this is the setting that you want to continue with or always want to use, you can just click on this and then take this as your default. If not, you can leave it blank and click on start. So once you're here, it's now going to ask you of the location where this project or site is. So also for neutrality, let's pick on our production site in Zatlet. So once you pick on it, it's going to give you the detail. And also to add here, you can actually use a map to pinpoint exactly where you want to, or where the site location is. Let's go back now and continue. Okay, so once you have selected your site, automatically the solar irradiance or irradiance per year will be displayed. And yeah, so that's it. So one thing I would want to chip in here from a little experience I've had, some might not, for some cases, not have their geolocation indicated. So please, the best thing you could do is to use a landmark per se, a landmark that is closest to the site. Once you can use a landmark, a popularly known building or site or an area that is very close to the particular site, this can actually help to pinpoint exactly where the site is located, so that we can have as accurate as possible irradiance figures. So this is the irradiance figure for our selected site. Also to add, if you have a specific information about the irradiance and it's not exactly displayed here, you can actually increase or reduce it in percentage, as you can see in this case. But if you feel that this is the exact figure for the irradiance per year, then you can, of course, continue. Then we can now go to the grid parameters. Here we're going to select the grid parameter. So we're going for a single phase. For this example, of course, it can be three phase. So we're going to a single phase. Power factor is 1. And then feeding limitations, we're not feeding in. So we can just click on next. So here we will now enter our consumption data. By default, we have 3,500, but then if your consumption data is more than this, of course, this is editable, as you can see. So you could maybe increase it to 4,000 kilowatt hour per year, or even 5,000 kilowatt hour per year. So depending on the exact figures of your consumption. And then very importantly, you can select your consumption profile. So by default here, we have Monday to Sunday evening peak consumption. So this actually describes how the client uses or consumes power. So for this case, this is Monday to Sunday evening peak consumption, meaning that he's always out during the day and then comes back in the evening time to use power. So you have higher consumption during the evening. Or you could have this particular profile here, simply defines someone who goes to work from Monday to Friday, and then on Saturdays and Sunday goes to work from Mondays to Friday, and then comes back in the evening to use power. But then during the weekend, that is Saturday and Sunday, since he's around, he uses power during the day. And then you have higher consumption of power during the day, as you can see. So if we decide to choose this, it automatically gives us an estimated consumption value, as you can see in this case. So now let's continue, leave it at that and continue by clicking next. So the next category, as you can see, once we click on next, it's going to take us through these respective columns that we need to fill in our design specifications. That's location, which we've done earlier, consumption, which we just did. We are now on the PV array section. After that, we go to inverter sizing, inverter and sizing, components, profitability, and then report. So now we are on PV arrays. So on PV array, we can decide to label the arrays or name them differently. So in this case, say I have this in the east, so I'll just name it as east, and then continue to select the manufacturer, the module manufacturer. So let's go for, say, JA Solar. And then once you've selected it, you can now go and select a particular module. As you can see, we have several modules displayed here. And if you want to make any of this module your favorite, you can, of course, select it and then click on favorite. So if you cannot find a particular module manufacturer or module type or specification that you want to use, you can, of course, send or fill in the data of this particular module. And then, of course, it will be sent to PV database at pvscout.de. And then from where it will be automatically updated so that in the next time when you check, it will be available on the database. So for now, let's continue and select the 305 watts module. And then here, this is where we now select the number of modules that we want to use. Let's just pick 10 for this example. Here is the tilt angle. We could leave it at 25. And then a module orientation or azimuth. So in this case, facing the east, that would be 90 degrees. And then let's use, so for mounting, you have three options: roof mounted, building integrated, or freestanding. For freestanding, it means it's a field installation. For building integrated, it means that the module is the roof. So that's what it means. So because there are respective coefficient figures that are assigned to this particular orientation. So let's take a roof mount, for example. You're going to have limited amount of air going through or under the modules. For freestanding, since it's a freestanding, you're going to have a good amount of airflow under the module, because this actually contributes to, for example, the temperature coefficients, which of course affects the performance of the respective modules. So if it is building integrated, it means there's virtually no air passing or flowing under the respective module. So that's just basically to explain what this means. So we're going for roof mounting, and then yeah, that's it. If it's a bifacial module, you can of course now add the bifacial power gain in this particular spot. Then once you're done, you can now click on next. So this now takes us to okay, we haven't actually finished. So this is for the east orientation. I want to design this for east and west orientation. So here you can actually add a PV array. So once you click on this, you can now label it with a suitable name. So here I would like to label it as west, since we already have east here. So for west, if you're using the same module, of course, you could continue with the same data, but of course, you'd have to impute the number of modules. So let's just use the same number of modules. For the module orientation, this should now be 270. And then still roof mount. Okay, so now once we're done, you will now have to click on connect with east. This is done so that the PV arrays be connected to an inverter that would ensure proper distribution of power via the respective MPPTs. If you don't select it, it will assume that you have multiple inverters that each of the orientations are connected to. So that's what this means. So once you're done, you can now click on next. This now takes us to the next section, which is inverter and sizing. So here is where you're going to have the sizing of the inverter done. As we all know, our inverters are actually built to have an oversizing capacity of up to 150. So for this example, let's just pick 120. So we have 120. Module temperature -10 to 70, depending on your region. You can, of course, adjust this. For sub-Saharan Africa, I believe we don't have, I don't think we've recorded any figure for -10. But then just for this example, we'll just continue with this. And once you have arrived at this stage, for the inverter sizing, you're going to see suggested inverters for this particular project. And you would see other options. So you can now click on Start Calculation. Once you click on Start Calculation, it will now recommend the inverter for the project. So in this case, we have two recommendations, but one automatically selected if you wish to continue with it. So this gives us the opportunity of using the Primo Gen 24 5.0 Plus, and with generation capacity with the inverter ratio 122% of 6.10 kilowatts peak. This is how it's going to be connected. For PV1 or MPPT1, we would have 10 modules connected. So these are particularly the ones via east, connected facing east, and then due west will be connected to the other MPP. So this is how it's going to be oriented. And of course, you have the module information here. So this is basically it for the inverter and sizing. Then once we're done, you can now click on next. So this now takes us to components. So in this case, we can now add our battery because we're actually designing a residential system with a storage facility, that is battery. So we can now select the battery. And then of course, we'll also have to select the smart meter. So it will automatically be suggested here. So you have selected the battery, so you will need a smart meter. So please select your favorite device. So you can now click on smart meter and then add. So once you've added, it will automatically suggest battery capacity for your use. As we know, the Fronius Gen 24 Plus is compatible with the BYD battery box HVS, the premium HVS and HVM. So for this case, it has automatically suggested the power capacity of 4.48 kilowatts, energy consumption or energy capacity of 5.12 kilowatt hour. So we're convenient with this or want to increase the capacity, you're free to do so by selecting any of these other extra options. If not, you can now continue by selecting or clicking on next. Here, we're now going to look at profitability. So for the system to calculate the profitability of this particular project, you would have to input some information. Well, this was supposed to be in euro, but I guess maybe my detail gave me away to be located in Nigeria. So this is actually the figure or the currency for Nigeria. So for electricity costs, you could put in the figure that the electricity actually costs you. I would love us to see how this is calculated. So let's just have a figure here, say 2 or 3 million. And then let's continue to feed in tariff. Currently, I think we are on 45 naira per kilowatt hour. And then for a duration, assessment duration of say 15 years per se. Yeah, so, okay, sorry, there's an oversight here. This is actually the cost, how much you pay for electricity per month. So this is where you could say, okay, let's put in, let's say 10,000. Good. So now let's continue. So this is where you actually put in the cost of the system. So this is where I was supposed to put in the entire cost of the system, which is, let's just pick 3 million. Calculation period here is 30 years. Calculation period simply means your calculation, it will enable the system to calculate your return on investment after a particular period of time. So in this case, it's as automatically pick 30 years. So let's continue with that. And then afterwards, we can now click on next. So once you've done that, it will now, based on the information that you've given it, will give you a detailed info on the entire system. So as you can see, it has actually itemized everything in terms of general info, power, profitability. So let's now come here to energy flow. Here you're going to see your level of self-consumption, your self-consumption rate, and of course, self-sufficiency rate. In terms of production, you will be able to generate this much. So let's just break it down. So as you can see, you have a self-consumption rate, 46%, and then self-sufficiency rate of 76%. Then because of the information you put in with the irradiance per year of this particular spot or the particular project site, you're going to have the estimated figures for your energy production, and then of course your figures for energy consumption, as you can see. So this will of course also enable you to make informed decisions on how to actually maximize or increase your self-consumption and self-sufficiency rate. So afterwards, you can get information about the PV arrays that you've implemented. Due east, you have the figures here, 10 modules of a JA Solar, grid specification, and of course, your power generated, the generated power from the PV module. This is due east, and then this is due west. The inverter information is also given. You're using a single phase Primo Gen 24 5.0 plus. You would have all the other information listed. And then of course, other components that you've added, which is the battery for storage purposes. So once you are comfortable with all the information, you can now click on send report. So this will now, this is now where you have to input the email address of the client. So in this case, let me just continue with mine, and then of course, click on next, select preferable language. So this is where it actually comes in as a very flexible option. So in case the client is a bit convenient in reading in another language, you can of course select other languages. For now, we have about 12 languages, and I can assure you that we're actually working to increase the number of language that we can actually send this report in. So for this case, we will select English and then click on next. So it gives you the project name and then of course the location of the project or site of the project. And then once this is done and everything is ready to be sent to the client, you can just click on send. So this now automatically gets sent to the client, and then the client sees all the information, very detailed information, and then gets back to you with an approval for the project, or if there's any other changes that he or she would love to make in the project. So if you click on back to overview, it's now going to take you back to the overview of your projects. This is the initial one that I told you about, and then this is the one that we've been able to go through for this particular webinar. So as you can see, it's very straightforward. I will enjoin you to, of course, try your hands on it. In case you have any difficulty or you're stuck anywhere, please do not hesitate to get through to any of us according to your covered region. So that's basically it for the Solar.Creator. I believe we enjoyed the walkthrough, the Solar.Creator, and it's actually an interesting tool to work with of course much more information for us to digest. So for further information, of course, we have all the recordings of our webinars always available. For easy accessing, you can actually click on this link and it will just take us to take you to the Sub-Saharan Africa playlist, where we have the recordings of all the webinars that we have been conducting. Of course, you can access operating and installation instructions for all Fronius products and solutions via this link. And of course, you can visit our YouTube channel where you can find how-to and installation videos. So yeah, with that, we have come to the end of this webinar. For more information, you can of course reach out to these respective contact points with respect to the inquiries that you have, or more specifically, you can reach out to your respective technical sales advisors, Mohammed Sidat for Southern Africa, myself, Cyprian Nicolo for Western Africa, and of course, David Mwangi for Eastern Africa. So this brings us to the end of the webinar. We will, however, leave it open for say about 5 minutes to attend to your questions. And then after that, we'll call it a day. So on behalf of my colleague, David Mwangi, it's really been a pleasure having you here to attend our webinars, and we wish you a wonderful time after this.